Hello, and thank you for tuning back in to Reviving Humanity. Today's episode, The Plantation Mindset. Now, this might be triggering for everyone in the melanated Black, African American diaspora community. However we identify, this may be triggering for everyone, but we must keep an open mind. Because at the end of the day, I'm bringing this information to you to help to spread this awareness so that we can all elevate out of that mindset. So, I'm not even going to waste any time. I am ready to dive right into this episode. Let me begin with some numbers for you. Did you know that the world's population currently is 8.3 billion? 8.3 billion. Of that, let's break that down. 4.8, an estimation around there, it's maybe a bit higher, around 4.8 billion are Asian. Or this number statistically includes even, India, places around there. I believe also Pakistan. So, it includes that Asia area, okay? Everywhere, Japan, China, all of that. So 4.8 billion. That is just over half of the population. Just over half of the population are Asian. Now that's something to think about, okay? Now let's dive into Africa, okay? 1.3 billion, okay, with 80% of those people being Black, melanated, okay? 80%. So that leaves us around just above 1 billion of the population in Africa are Black, melanated people, okay? So, that's doing the math. Okay, now we're getting up there almost to 6 billion, right? Close to that 8 billion population, okay? It's really important we pay attention to these numbers so that we can understand how is it that when we get down to those who identify themselves as white, they roughly make up 16% of the world's population. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that roughly 16% of the world's population dominates the entire global population? Now, this is why we need to get into that plantation mindset. A lot of us don't think about the psychology of things. And I was always interested in the mind growing up as a child. Not as a child, as a teenager, those college years. I took psychology classes. I think I took about 2 psychology classes. And I graduated with a human services degree. Okay. So getting back into that, we have to understand that the mind, a lot of how you are able to manipulate someone is through the mind, not always by, physical force. But if you can get into someone's mind and make them believe something, if you can con them into believing fiction, then you have, the greatest tool alive. You have the greatest weapon in you alive if you can con someone into believing fiction. Now, you can travel almost anywhere around the world, anywhere around the globe, and you will find people dealing with colorism, women bleaching their skin. I've talked about this briefly before, but you will find women bleaching their skin, possibly men too. You'll find the most royal complected of us, the most royal melanated complected of us are the most discriminated due to the skin, due to our skin, just the skin, just at first sight, oh, that is a Black person. That is a Black person at first sight. And we want to pretend this doesn't exist, but I'm going to get deeper into this. Most of us, especially in America, we have people like Candace Owens, that's a popular name, very intelligent woman, and if I could get behind her message, she could possibly be someone that I would look up to, okay, and admire. But this system also has her believing that what's it called? Victimhood, this victimhood mentality that you are playing the victim when nothing is actually occurring to you, except it's all in your head, that you're the only person who can rise above whatever situation is happening to you. Because guess what? Everyone, okay, everyone has had a bad day. Everyone has problems. Everyone has something bad happen to them, right? But they don't believe that they are the victim. They're not the victim of it. And, you know, there is some truth in that. There is some truth in that when you talk about the individualistic part of it. Okay. As an individual, you know, I can have a bad day, but not be the victim of that bad day. I can have someone treat me in a bad way, but not be the victim. Because in my mind, I know, you know, I'm strong in my mind. I can take someone's negativity and find a way to find the positivity in that. Okay. But we're not talking about when we talk about colorism, something that has been conned into, like I said, over, I would say, you know, what's that 16%? So the rest of the percent would be 84%. Okay. You know, if I'm doing my math right. So 84% of the world's population has been conned into believing that if your skin is darker than the shade of cream, that you are somehow lesser than. You are somehow lesser than. So that is not an individualistic, oh, you're having a bad day. This is a broad system that has been embedded in your mentality for decades, for centuries, for centuries, to con you into believing that you are not beautiful because of the darkness of your skin. Okay. But, you know, this is all unraveling. We're going to get into that plantation mindset. This is all part of that plantation mindset. Okay. We've not only been dominated by a false racial hierarchy meant to place the lowest populated group of people at the top of this invisible scale, but we are being dominated as humans by religion. Now, I believe that these two are coexisting, because they've both been used to, you know, think about the transatlantic slave trade, how that religion coupled with racial hierarchy, you know, coupled with the idea that, you know, it's all even put in two parts of the Bible, you know, where it said that the people of Ham, you know, which are supposed to be black melanated people, are cursed. And there are some of us who believe that we are actually cursed. Okay. Black people who believe that we are actually cursed. You know, so you've got that in there. It's tied into the religion, right? That racial hierarchy. Okay. You know, I said it before, slaves, obey your earthly masters, just as you would Christ without fear. You know, I think I've twisted it a little bit, but that is pretty much, you know, slaves, obey your earthly masters, you know, all of that in there. There's more in there, but I'm trying to make the connection to you to see how these both are tethered and how they have maintained their dominance around the globe. You know, that plantation mindset. Let's get to that plantation mindset where Malcolm X, I was listening to Malcolm X, and the sad thing is that growing up, I was only really taught about Martin Luther King Jr. because we have Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have streets, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. You know, we have this, but we don't have anything that commemorates really, you know, to the public eye, Malcolm X. And so it wasn't until recently, you know, after I've been, you know, really getting the podcast, doing this podcast and, you know, dealing with systemic racism myself and really just having my eyes open to what is really happening around me. Wasn't until then that I really started diving and listening to some of those old tapes from Malcolm X. And one thing that he said is that, which we all know, he says you have the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro will love the master more than they love themselves. The field Negro will wish the master dead. Okay. They will wish that master, you know, will the house will catch on fire, you know, that he'll get hit by a bus. Okay. That's what the field Negro is saying. The field Negro is out there praying, please let master get hit by a bus today. Please let him get hit by a bus. Okay. And the house Negro is like, oh, please protect my man. Please protect Mr. Master. We got to protect him. We got to keep him safe. Got to keep him. I love this man. I love him. I love him. Okay. So back in the day, the field Negro outnumbered the house Negro. And, getting into the present, the average African American or Black person here in the United States today, that house Negro, I can't think of a better analogy for this right now. But today, the house Negro outweighs the field Negro. That mentality is outweighed by the thousands. By the thousands is outnumbered by the thousands here. As I said, I did a project with someone about Juneteenth, and they wanted to put on their post that slavery was a benefit, and because of slavery, we have all of this. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute, lady. What are you saying? Okay, because you do remember what slavery was. Okay, you do remember the human zoos. The only people that it benefit are the people who are still benefiting from it. That's the only people who benefited from slavery, truly. Because what they're telling you is that you were never capable, that you never had the intelligence to build anything on your own. I watched a sermon. Someone stitched a video of a preacher, and this is what he was saying. He was saying, there is something wrong with the Black man's mind. The Black man couldn't build anything. He can't build anything. He didn't build anything in Egypt. He didn't build anything. He didn't have no road, nothing was built, no buildings, no nothing. This is a Black preacher teaching this to his congregation, saying how there's something wrong with the Black man's mind. That is part of that. That is part of that field house Negro dynamic, okay? That is someone who is the house Negro, who is either getting paid to say this, getting put up, hey, if you do this, we'll take care of you, we'll pay for your church, get you a bigger congregation, get you paid, get you a lavish life. But you got to say this, you got to lead your people into believing that they are failures, basically. He's got his video on Facebook right now titled, Something is wrong with the brain of a Black man. Something is wrong with the brain of a Black man. And this is what I'm talking about. This system, and you want to believe it doesn't exist. That's basically confirming from them, for white people, which continues to keep this lie alive, that we were just sitting there swinging on trees when we were the first here. Our ancestors were the first people on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. You can go look into your research that they also want to keep covering up. So you mean to tell me for hundreds of thousands of years, we've just been sitting here, brainless and lost and confused and just waiting for this great savior to come and teach us how to build, how to have a brain? Well, I like to challenge that theory. So in America, did you know that a lot of the inventors who made this country better were not only Black, African American, African people, but they were children? Some of them as young as 12, 13 years old. So the idea that something is wrong with the Black man's mind, go do your research and look up all of the Black inventors that they do not want to share with you, that they do not want to show you. That is part of keeping a group of people oppressed. So when you say that you have a victimhood mentality, go look at that speech. Something is wrong with the brain of a Black man. Go look at that. Go look at that and see how this is not an individualistic attack. This is embedded, where even your own people, where even you as a Black man believe this. You believe this. You believe it so much so. You want to believe it. So much so that because you love Master so much, you love him more than you love yourself. That's why you believe this. That's why you want to believe this so much. A lot of us are so stuck on wanting to keep racism comfortable. We need to keep it happy, because if we challenge it, if we question it, if we demand that it be held accountable, all of a sudden we are put back, feared into submission, feared into to being quiet about it. This is what I'm talking about, and this is really dangerous. This is not a victimhood mentality. This is a con. I say the greatest con man alive, the greatest con man there will ever be is the white man. That is the greatest con man alive, who has conned an entire group. I told you there was 1 billion people of black melanated descent, black melanated people, I'll just say, in the continent of Africa alone, 1 billion. That is, it may not sound like a large number compared to 8 billion, the entire world's population. But then you have the rest of the world's population, which is the 4.8 billion, the Asian population, who also believe the same. You were able to con 84% of the world's population into believing a lie. Our history has been hidden. So this is an example of that plantation mindset. The plantation mindset that says, I love you, oppressor, more than I love myself. I want to make you happy and give you what you want so that you will accept me. There's something wrong with the black man's brain, all right, but it's not. It's his black mind, okay, that has been corrupted. The worst colonized is the one trapped in the plantation mindset, just like I explained with this man. This mindset has divided the black man in more ways than I can even think of. And I'm sure as I get older, I will still be uncovering more ways, but I still, because this has been happening for centuries, I still will not get all of that information. We are colonized, brainwashed into believing that we need to vote red or blue, and that by somehow voting red or blue, it will change our outcome as Black, Indigenous, melanated, African-American people on this planet. We believe that by voting into a white world, a white conned world, by voting into that, it will change our outcome. Our outcome is never meant to be changed in a white, colonized, conned world. You think a con man is going to let you come in and vote for another con man, and that they're just going to somehow give you respect when the con has been happening for centuries? We have been brainwashed into believing that the 4th of July is just as equally our holiday as it is for the self-identified white man. This is not about white versus black or me trying to start a war. I'm trying to help you see the 4th of July is not your holiday. And you can celebrate it, yes, because you are an American. But as I said, the house Negro who says, I love you, master, more than I love myself. I want to protect this house. Malcolm X said it. I want to protect this home more than I will protect my own life because this is your house, master. That is exactly what we're doing. When we get out there and we pledge allegiance to the flag that's not based off of anyone's freedom except for the white man's freedom. That's what we're doing when we go and celebrate the 4th of July. 4th of July, 1776. Do you know in 1776 that we were still being, our ancestors were still being transported on ships across the globe, being beaten, hanged, raped, placed in zoos to be a mockery of? When you celebrate 1776, you ignore the reality of what exists today, what has existed in our past. You ignore the fact that although they have given us Juneteenth, 1865, that was not, we are still not free. We are still not free. When the mind of 84% of the world's population is still conned into believing a lie, you are not mentally free. When you believe that lie yourself, you are imprisoned in the mind. You are imprisoned in the mind, and that's where the con man wants to keep you. We've been brainwashed into celebrating the 4th of July, pretending that it's equally our holiday, just as much as we have been brainwashed into fear of expression, fear of expressing any type of positivity or power for our own culture. Fear that it will upset the self-identified white man. Fear that if you promote strength in your culture, if you promote the truth as we are uncovering it, that they will be upset. And so we don't do it. We just continue to be the monkeys, the apes, the planet of the apes. You know who that movie was made for. That was not made for the apes. That was made for us. We are the planet of the darn apes, okay? In Hollywood's mind, okay? And they are battling us. You know, that is a theory. Okay, everyone has a theory, right? That's my theory. And then we go to the movie like, yeah, Planet of the Apes. You know, and not even knowing that that movie was made for us. That we are the apes in that movie, okay? So what I am saying, and, you know, we can take it however you want to take it, but this is Hollywood. You do know that Hollywood was founded off of blackface. You know, the birth of a nation, right? The birth of a nation. Go look up the birth of a nation. You know, I find it funny that we still celebrate Hollywood as Black people. We want to get into Hollywood, a place that still has not yet been held accountable, you know, for its past. It wants to make it up now by including an African Black person. Listen, how do I say this? Because you guys, I'm trying to get away from the just identifying as Black, but it wants to make it up by including, you know, a person of color. You know, I know some Black people don't like that. They're going to, oh my God, the hairs are going to just stretch. They're just going to, no, you did not just say a person of color. But yes, a person of color, any person of color. Okay. They think if you put one or two of us in there, then yay, you know, that'll make up for it. Okay. When, you know, I've been to Hollywood, I've lived in Los Angeles, and, you know, you see Egypt. Just go down Hollywood and Vine. Hollywood and Vine is where it's at. My favorite place to be. Okay. And, you know, you got the Chinese theater, right? You got the Dolby Theater. Okay. And right behind it, you know, you got that little mall in there. And what do they have? Egyptian statues. Okay. Still hiding our history right in our faces, claiming it as theirs. Okay. So it's what I'm saying, you know, these things were built off of not pride, not, you know, when I'm talking about, when I say the Hollywood, okay, what it's built off of is nothing to be proud of. Yet we are made to dance and pretend like, yay, you know, this is it, and I'm proud, and I can't wait to make it into Hollywood. I was that person, okay? I wanted to get my movie green lighted until I realized, you know what? I'm going to make my own Hollywood. And it's going to be built off of principle. It's going to be built off of true values, true human values. It's not going to be built off of lies, off of having to deface and dehumanize a group of people in order to get it going. It's always going to be built off of strong principle. So, this is what I am saying. A lot of us are in the plantation mindset, and we don't even realize it. We don't see it. You have Black people who, you know, I was called the Oreo growing up. I'm the Oreo, okay? And I see a lot of those Black people today who called me an Oreo, who still don't see that they are still stuck in that plantation mindset. You know, just because you wear Jordans, just because, you know, you may wear braids, or just because you may, you know, I don't know, watch Black films or Black TV shows, you know, it does not mean that you are still not colonized in the mind, you know, because if you still are going out and celebrating the 4th of July, if you are not demanding that this country be held accountable. And when I say held accountable, I am talking about Otabanga, the human zoos. Okay, our ancestors, people like Sarah Bartman. Okay, there are so many people. And we just let, you know, the Bronx Zoo now, you know, we put money into it. and we just let it be what it is, right? And we don't expect it. We don't demand that, hey, you should put a placard up, a giant placard that honors this person, because this is how your zoo became the Bronx Zoo. Okay. A lot of what you have in America is because of the pain that our ancestors had to go through. And they aren't even respected or honored in that way. It's just erased. So that is what I'm saying. To truly know your true history, a lot of Black people will say, I ain't got nothing to do with Africa. I'm Indian. All right. I'm Indian. Yeah, I ain't got no black. I ain't black, man. I ain't African. I'm Indian. And my story began in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm not from, my story, I ain't, this my country. America's my country. I was born here. Yeah, my story, my history is this. Okay. You don't see how that's still part of that plantation mindset, which has you wanting to disassociate from your true ancestry. You know, I could easily say, well, you know what? Because my great grandmother was Indian and Black. Well, I'm Indian. I'm just Indian. Okay. That is what a lot of us do, who are proclaimed, Black, and then want to judge the Oreo, the quote unquote Oreo. Okay. But you don't even really want to identify with who you truly are. You don't want to accept who you truly are. You are African. Okay. Which is truly my line, Alkebulan, which whatever existed before, before colonization, because when we call Africa, Africa, we are still giving that colonized part of it power. We give that power because Africa was named by the white colonist, the European, okay? He named it. 16% of the world's population has taken over the entire. It's really sad. I just how that even happens. But religion is very helpful with that, and has been, and it's continuing to be spread across the globe as I am speaking, as you are listening. That is the help, that is the assistance that it provides. So this colonization, this plantation mindset runs really deep. It is not just, I am victimhood, I'm a victimhood mentality, whatever that statement is. This is real. This is reality, that a con that has been put in place to dehumanize and oppress an entire group of species, the indigenous melanated people of this planet, to keep them from knowing who they are. We do not have access to our truths. We have to go digging and searching for it and doing scavenger hunts, and still not even having all the pieces put together, still not even knowing. You have these ancestry DNA tests, and a lot of you trust this, but they're not going to go back and tell you that you have ancestry connected to Egypt. They're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that you come from Nigeria, or they're going to tell you that you come from some other part of Africa that, they feel is safe enough to keep you from knowing your true history, to keep you from knowing that, because, and again, everyone wants to focus on just Egypt, but there are so many other places around the globe that have been established, that have great history, that have structures, again, this is another theory, which does seem to be proven though, because if you were able to know your truth, if you were able to know that you were here in America before Columbus, that your ancestry is tied to the original people that, settled here before, Columbus discovered that there were already people living here. What is that going to make you do? If you have enough people who know this, where it's proven in the documents that this is your land, what are you going to do? They don't want you to do what they know what you would do. So they have to keep you, scattered, keep you lost and trying to figure out, put the pieces together, but they're not going to give you the truth. That is what I mean by demanding and holding this country accountable. But a lot of us have that plantation mindset where we love this country more than we love ourselves. We love the flag more than we love ourselves because we want to fit into white supremacy. And that is just the truth. We want to fit in. We want to be accepted. And we don't even accept ourselves. That is the huge problem. So the plantation mindset tells us that as a cis Black man and a cis Black woman, we need to operate in a certain way. And I'm seeing a lot of Black men are coming up and they're saying that you as a Black woman, okay, just using the terminology that we know, you as a Black woman, you need to stop being so masculine. You need to be submissive, feminine, cooperative, obedient, be like all of the other women who are this for their men and all these other cultures. You need to be like them. But we don't understand, how can we not make the connection that we are different? We are connected to, related to our ancestry in our DNA, related to the first people on this planet. The original indigenous people of this planet is us. We have that connection. We are different. Like even being lactose intolerant, okay, for a lot of us, it is our genetics are different in that way. And so when you know this, how do you also not know that going back to the men and women, how do you not also see that the Black woman is also made differently? You want to mold her, shape her into something that that is not her natural state. And then you wonder why we keep clashing. We keep fighting. Oh, the Black woman is too masculine. She's trying to be a leader. You can't lead as a Black woman. You can't do this. The man needs to lead. You need to sit down, shut up, be submissive, be obedient, be feminine, and give us what we want. That's what you need to be. Then why did people like Queen Njinga exist? Why did people like Queen Nefertiti exist? Why did people, all these queens, and some of them were actually kings of their, I don't want to say community, their tribes back then, okay? And so it's this idea that you want to take what's naturally in the Black woman away from her and repress her, oppress her, and tell her that she cannot lead, that she cannot do this and that. And I wonder why so many of us are strong in that, because we are being oppressed and repressed. Okay, we are being oppressed by our own, not only the system of supremacy, which people still want to say doesn't exist, but we are not meant to be this submissive, this Stepford wife. That was never meant and embedded in the Black woman's, a part of her DNA. You can just look at history. Don't go back and do your history research, because I did study. I read up on Queen Njinga, okay, and which I have to thank Jada Pinkett Smith, because she introduced it to me on the documentary I saw on Netflix. But then I went and did my own research and read up. Queen Njinga led armies. Okay, she made deals with the Dutch. Okay. I mean, let me tell you, this woman was fearless. And so, but you're telling me that us today, why do we have to now be this modern type of, submissive, no leadership, just be led? There's insecurity. It's the same thing with the homosexuality, which has been spread. It is all driven out of ego, insecurity, pride, and fear. But we don't see it. Black men are fearing that what is the place of a Black man if a woman can do everything that he can do? Which, a lot of us, we're not out there all building homes and doing construction, right? But if she can lead, that is a problem. And that is what I'm saying. We are stuck in that plantation mentality, thinking that we need to follow this Western world, which is causing the divide, because they know that's not our natural state. They know that that's why we keep clashing. And then we're saying that the woman is disrespectful, but we're not seeing how equally disrespectful the men are. It is both equal. We have to be able to understand, if we don't know our history, if we do not know our history, we will not know ourselves and why we behave the way that we behave. We need to read up on these people, read about the actual gay women who existed back in the ancient times in Africa. Okay, because we live in a world now where they want to listen. The most oppressed people around the globe, the most dehumanized group of people around the globe are the most judgmental and hateful toward gay people. I'm just going to say it. I'm put it out there. That is what it is. In the Black community, we are the most homophobic. Look at Africa. I've spoke on this already, okay? We are still in that plantation mindset. We don't see how this is still keeping us from becoming our full potential. You have Black women who believe that the best that they can offer is their body. When you have an entire brain, an entire mind, and you are a natural born leader, you have this natural ability in you that's being repressed, oppressed. And it's keeping us from being real leaders. Do you know, once two Black women, I'm going to tell you, okay, when two Black women finally come together, and I'm not talking about Oprah and Jan, I'm not talking about Oprah and Camille. What's her name again? Oprah and not Stedman. What's that lady's name? Oh man, I'm not talking about Oprah and Gail. I mean true leaders who really know who they are, who are not a part of this system, who are not stuck in that plantation mentality. When two strong, let me tell you, Black women come together, woo, world, watch out. We need real leaders, and Black women specifically are being told that they are not supposed to lead, that they are not supposed to be police officers, okay? And so it's truly knowing yourself, not allowing the system to suck you in and make you feel guilty for lifting yourself up in a world that continues to dehumanize you, that continues to compare you to monkeys and apes. Why not wear a shirt that says not a monkey, but a lion? Why not? Shout out to reviving-humanity.com. Currently just selling to the U.S. right now, but I had to shout out to the website, okay? Reviving-humanity.com. What's wrong with wearing not a monkey, but a lion? What's wrong with wearing your history, knowing your history on your back, okay? We live in a world filled with people who are insecure of themselves, who are fearful. We live in a world of fear. And that fear is dominating this entire globe. We live in a world where our own people will sell themselves out for $1. As I said, the American dollar, right? The American dream. We live in a world where we celebrate the 4th of July, knowing that our ancestors were still being transported on ships across the globe during 1776. How can we not make the connection that when we celebrate that, we are disconnected? I want us to get out of that plantation mindset. I want to spread this and help you see what I see so that we can start demanding what we are owed, what our ancestors are owed. Let's not pretend like the Bronx Zoo has always been this amazing place. Let's not pretend like the country does not have its debts to pay. Because it does. The only way we will finally move forward is if we get out of that mentality. The lies, the con that has you believing that Black African people in Africa were never capable of building anything of their own, that there was always something wrong, that there is something wrong with the Black man, Black woman's mind. That is the plantation mentality. It's time for us to get out of it. Because as long as we stay in it, what are we going to do? We're going to keep pouring into the U.S. I love this country. I love this flag. I am a die-hard American citizen, and this is my country, damn it. I love it. And while you have your billionaires, these Black billionaires, continue to rise, are they putting money back into their home country? Mother gave birth to you, but you neglected her. Yes, mother has some issues. She has some homophobic issues she needs to work through. But we can't educate mother if we don't go back to her and help her. So we have these billionaires who continue to pour money into themselves in the U.S., but you're leaving her neglected for the American dream, for the delusion of the American dream, which is falling apart. So please, I just want you to see what I see so that we can change the way that this world turns. Take back our power. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm wheezing. I think I'm wheezing on this. But bear with me. I do appreciate you listening, those of you who stayed. But your history did not ever begin in St. Louis. Your history began hundreds of thousands of years ago. And you deserve to get to those leaves on that tree, on that family tree. Please do not settle for the con that the greatest con man alive has sold you. That's all for today. I said a lot, but I hope that you all stay safe, stay educated, and get to know yourself. Take care.